Don't forget to start.
Hi, Shalom. This is Levi Shore. Welcome back to Sweet and Good Torah. We got Rabbi Mordecai Darvish of the great YouTube channel, The Gates of Mordecai. Please do all the great stuff. Like, share, subscribe. Please give us all your wonderful comments. Let us know what you're thinking about. Today, we're just going to talk about like the amazing quality of Eretz Yisrael, of the land of Israel. We're going to talk about personal experiences, what makes Israel so great, what's, the Kedusha, the holiness of it. I'm going to turn it over to Rabbi Darvish, and he's gonna get it rolling today. Aye.
Okay. Basically, I just want to tell everybody out there, we have a lot of people that are listening to us, whether they're Jewish, whether they're not Jewish. Um, and the idea of the land of Israel and who it belongs to, who it doesn't belong to, all this fight and everything like that, it can be summed up very easily. And I want to go through some basic tidbits of information that everybody should know. Everybody should know that God created the world, right? This is not a dispute. You want to talk science? We'll show you how scientifically, like that matter didn't come from any nothing, right? And the first bit of matter had to be created, and then there's a first cause. The first cause, whatever you want to talk scientifically, we could talk scientifically. You want to talk biblically? The very first sentence in the Torah talks with the creation of the world, and it didn't need to. It could have just started to be a law book, and it talked about the creation to let you know that God is the owner of the world, and he chooses to give it to whoever he wants. And anybody wants to go through the whole Torah and see who the land of Israel belongs to, it was promised to the descendants of Abraham, Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, right? Isaac and Jacob, for the English speakers out there. But it was promised already. So this is not a dispute that needs to be litigated over and debated over, YouTube channeled over, whatever it is. It's just totally ridiculous that we're even having this conversation. So scientifically, the world has a creator, and that creator uh, gave mankind his instructions and what he wants, and he said that that land belongs to the children of Israel, right? And if we track it to who it is today, that is the Jewish people. Now, the secular Zionists who didn't have any connection so much biblically to this place decided to come and settle this place and go through the international courts and do it diplomatically. Okay, this land wasn't taken by force or anything like that. Jews were always had a presence, continuous presence from the times that the temple was destroyed, and have always been in the land. So this isn't a dispute of who was here first or who was here last or that kind of thing. They just try to do things diplomatically, and diplomatically they succeeded with the UN voting to partition the land and give a little piece to Israel as a diplomatic idea, right? That the whole nations, the nations of the world recognize, right? The land didn't belong to anybody, because if it did, then how could the UN partition it, right? If it belonged to a certain set of group, then they can't do that, right? The beef that the Arabs should be with the UN, because the UN did the partitioning. That's not what's going on. They're blaming the people who got the other side of that partition, right? It's like a father who splits the cake, and the little the kid that they got the little piece is arguing that they should have gotten a bigger piece, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, it's not a dispute. The dispute is illegitimate. It's ridiculous, and at this point, it's nonsensical. That's from a physical point of view. From and just to add on that is that the Arabs attacked the Jews. The Jews never attacked the Arabs. Okay, this nonsense of genocide and all that's total BS, because the Jews have integrated certain Arabs into their society and given them even more rights than other Jews. So this whole BS of genocide is stupid propaganda that you shouldn't even listen to. Okay, that's on the physical standpoint. I want to move over to like a spiritual standpoint. Our Gemara tells us, right, that if the world knew the spiritual and physical benefits that they would get from the Jews keeping the Torah, they would put armed guards on every Jew and make sure that they keep the Torah, meaning like they wouldn't give them any other option because of the benefits that they would accrue from the Jews keeping the Torah. So for me personally, I was born there. Um, I lived in the U.S. for many years, and then I returned there to learn about our heritage. It was the greatest place in the world for two reasons. One is historically, everywhere you went, it's connected to the Bible. It's connected to the Torah. Our landmarks over there, the people that are buried there, it's all connected. It's all written down. It's not like something foreign to us. For thousands of years, our people were buried there, and there's landmarks everywhere, from the temple to the Sea of Galilee to wherever you want to go in Israel. There's a connection between our history and our people. So it was awesome to see that. Secondly, everywhere you could go, you could be a practicing spiritual Jew, meaning that you didn't have to feel bad wearing your strings, your tzitzis out, wearing your kippah, your head covering, having a beard, and all that stuff. You didn't have to feel weird. Okay, you could do it and go about it in a lively manner. And thirdly, sorry, just to add another point, is that there was access to the spiritual things that you needed. If you needed a quorum of 10 men, a minyan, if you needed a synagogue, it was on every corner. If you needed a mikvah, a pool, a purifying pool of water, it was all there, access to you. If you needed books to learn, if you needed rabbis to teach you, everything was there for you. It was a spiritual center. It is a spiritual center. Okay, so the world needs Israel, whether you're Jewish or you're not Jewish. Okay, because we bring abundance to the world through our connection to God. Now, people want to destroy that, and they're just outright stupid. Okay, and that's what prevails before the light of God shines in the world, and His revelation is revealed to all mankind. That's what's going to prevail: stupidity, and that's why we have this fight. And that's why anybody who goes against the land of Israel, whether you're a commentator, whether you're on the ground over there fighting, whether you're pontificating, whether you're an activist, you're just outright stupid because you don't know what you're losing out. And for any Jews out there who take the other side, God help you, because you have absolutely no idea where you come from, where you're going, or what you're even talking about. That's my opening statement.
Okay, wow. Okay, I didn't know I thought we were just going to do a little more personal experience, but okay, where just real quick before I get into it, where were you born in Israel? Where which city were you?
I was technically born in Hadera, but it was Netanya.
Okay, nice. Okay. So yeah, so I'll give my first impression of when I first came to Israel. So I was living in Los Angeles. I was working in the film and television industry. I was living in this fancy condo building, right? We had all kinds of actors and actresses and models and musicians. So there's all kinds of famous people hanging around. And it was a beautiful building. Like we had a swimming pool, a sauna, two, not one, but two hot tubs, a tennis court. So it was like, this is very luxury living. Oh, a gym, like a nice gym. So this, and then across the street was this fancy hotel that had all these bungalows and had a recording studio in the basement. So all the musicians were all hanging out there. And then because the musicians were there, the young Hollywood crowd was hanging out. So it was interesting. And California is beautiful. And it's interesting. And I always think there's this interesting parallel between Eretz Yisrael, between the land of Israel and California. Like California is almost like this physical projection of the spirituality of Israel. Like California right now, it's physically beautiful, but the geography is very similar. It's interesting. Like you have an ocean on the west. California has the Pacific Ocean on the west. Israel has the Mediterranean, Sea on the west. You have a desert in the south. You have a desert in the east. You have the hills, Jerusalem, Los Angeles, like you have all these like the hills, the Hollywood Hills, the Mulholland. So it was interesting, like geographically. And then people in California, everyone's like real spiritual, but it's kind of like a physical spirituality. It's really almost like if you really are paying attention in California, it's kind of like the worship of the physical. Everyone's spiritual, but it's kind of a worship of the. So so I got this opportunity to study at Aish Torah, and me and Mordecai, we were actually roommates. So, I mean, I remember flying over there, and I stopped in London for a few days before I came over to Israel. And it was just, it's just very, very interesting, like taking the drive from the airport in Ben Gurion in Tel Aviv, and then you're driving east, and you come into Jerusalem, and you start heading up from Telstone. You start heading up. You're going up and up and up, and finally come to Jerusalem, and you get to the old city, and you just see these gates. I mean, these stone gates, like stone walls around the old city, and they were built like I think like 400 years ago by I think one of the Turkish emperors of the Ottoman Empire. I think it was Emperor Suleiman. Okay, but anyway, so you get in this old city, and it's just now you've gone into this ancient world. All the story, like you were saying, all the stories I learned about, studying Torah and the Tanakh. All of a sudden, I'm there. I'm in Jerusalem, and I just remember, and we were roommates, and I remember the first night. So I come from my luxury condo, and now I'm on a bunk bed, and I'm on the top. I think when I know I forgot if I was on the top or the bottom, but I look out the window of the room. And that first night, I see the Har HaBayis. I see the Temple Mount. So it's where the Dome of the Rock is now and the Alaska Mosque. And I'm like, wow, I'm now looking at the holiest place in the world from this little, dorm room, in the building. And as it just and the Gemara says like there's just kedusha, there's holiness that just fills the air. And right, it's just a different existence. What was so, you know, prevalent in California is just the physical beauty of California, physical beauty of like the beaches, like Malibu and Santa Monica, and just driving up like the Pacific Coast Highway, to Big Sur, to San Francisco, just the physical beauty of California. But now there was a new beauty. There was a beauty of the spiritual, a beauty of the ruchnius. You want to give some of your experiences, or?
No, no, 100%. I mean, I didn't even get into it, but we went on trips while we were in yeshiva and we saw the
Yeah,
actual beauty of the land. There's the,
yeah,
the hills and the mountains of the north are absolutely
yeah.
breathtaking. You go down to the beaches. Beaches are beautiful. You have every kind of landscape that you'd want to see with your eyes in Israel. You go to
Yeah.
the desert, you see the beautiful sky at night, unobscured by any lights. You see all, the whole Milky Way in front of you, shooting stars like every 2 seconds. Israel is filled with absolute physical beauty. But in addition to that, physical beauty is also, spiritual connection and a historical connection, and it's amazing that we got to see that, we got to experience that. I don't even know, like I live in Philadelphia. I mean, I don't go around and tour my city. You know what I mean? We just don't do that. You know what I mean? When tourists come, they're like, "Hey, have you been here? You've been there?" We're like, "Nah, not really." Like it's not. And same thing. I don't think like Israelis go out and they tour their country. There's the Dead Sea, absolutely amazing place. You go into this water and you can't even sink because there's so much salt and minerals in the water. It's just a beautiful, beautiful place that you can't even imagine how many springs and waterfalls are there, and canyons and mountains, and just whatever you want to see is there. The beauty of the land is unbelievable, and like, just to think people are destroying it, people want to destroy it, people want to kill people over there. It's just it's mind-boggling. Humans are stupid. If we work together, we would have all the abundance in the world, and enjoy it, every single one of us. And instead, we're fighting over the resources and what exists. And I think it's just absolute shame, absolute shame.
Yeah, so I mean, right. So one thing, right? So one thing that's very different is, so when I went to college, I graduated from University of Miami. I was in the film program there, the film school, and you had to have a second major. So I went through music at first, and I was thinking maybe English, and then I ended up doing religious studies because I had started reading, like someone gave me an Oxford English Bible. I started from the beginning, and I was like, wow, these stories are very interesting. These would make great movies, like a Cecil B. DeMille movie. I could make a franchise of the Torah movies, and I wanted to tell other people the stories. Right. And then it's just incredible being there. So it's like instead of reading about like Yeshua, like Joshua and Jericho, like you can go to Jericho. Jericho was very strange when I was there because it was one of the cities given to the Palestinians, I believe, during the Oslo Agreement. And I think Arafat, Yamak Shemo, he built a big casino there. Like there's a casino in Jericho. So you come into like the ancient stories of the Torah and the spiritual, things of each place, but then there's also the modern, where it is in the modern world, where each of these cities are in the modern world, which is interesting. Right. So Jericho was the first, Jericho, that was the first city that Yeshua ben Nun, that the Jewish people actually conquered, in the initial, conquering in the land of Israel, after we come out of Egypt, 40 years in the desert. So right now, because of Oslo, right, that's Palestinian control. No, I mean,
Before any Arabs existed,
yeah,
before
no,
kind
yeah, I
of
know, yeah, I
land
know.
disputes and
No,
all
the
that stuff,
Kanani,
right?
yeah. I don't want to get too political. I just want a little, little of the real experiences today. But um, right then, and then it's like right, you have like the Dead Sea, and then you have this little oasis called Ein Gedi, and just a lot of times we would go on nature hikes, and we would and you find these natural springs all over Israel, and then you go up north, and you have like Mount Hermon, and people can go skiing there, but then you
Just
have
kidding, right?
the city of Svas. Oh, let's talk about this real quick, which is interesting. So there's four holy cities in Israel. So Hebron, I think in English Hebron, I don't know how to pronounce it in English, but Hebron or Hebron, that's the holy city of the Afar, of the Eretz. It's the holy city of the soil. So
Earth, yeah.
Hebron's more connected to the land. And that's where Abraham and Sarah, Abraham and Sarah are buried. It's where Yitzhak and Rivka, Isaac and Rebekah are buried. It's where Yaakov and Leah, Jacob and Leah are buried. And also Adam and Chava, Adam and Eve, all buried in this one cave, the Mara Machpelah, the cave of Machpelah. So that's basically a city that's once again, under the Arab control. Very small, like Jewish community there. They're harassed a lot, and a lot of people don't realize there was a massacre there of the Hebron Yeshiva and all of the Jewish people in Hebron in 1929.
We
So
had to take we had to
yeah,
take armed buses to get in
yeah,
there
yeah, arm. So
to pray at their graves,
yeah, so
right?
you
Like,
hear, yes,
you
yeah,
imagine, like the Israelis are the settlers, they're the occupiers, and we had to take an armed bus and armed guards to go there in order to
right,
pray there, right? So
right.
just, you
Yeah,
know,
so the media, right? The media is very deceptive of what like life is really like there. It's mainly under Arab control. There's a small Jewish community there. There was a massacre in 1929, the Hebron Yeshiva, and that's before 1948. That's before, the Zionist state. So why are the Arabs attacking us in 1929? But it's an old story. So Hebron is the holy city of the ground, of the dirt. Now, Jerusalem, I believe that's the holy city of fire. That's connected to Aish. It's where the holy fire came down when we had the temple and the Mizbeach on the altar. It's also where, Kabbalistically, it's where the Kav, I believe, touches the Aretz. It's where in the Kodesh HaGadoshim, in the Holy of Holies, it's the Evan Shti, it's the foundation stone. It's where Hashem created the whole universe, beginning at that point. And that's the point where the heavens touch the earth. So it's the city of fire, the holy city of fire. And we offer the korbanos, the offerings with the fire on the altar. Then moving up, we get to Tiberia. I think it's Tiberius. It's interesting. It was actually named after Emperor Tiberius, but it's called Tiberia also, and it's the holy city of water. And then we have the Canaris, the Sea of Galilee is right there next to the city. And then we go all the way, going further north when we get to Svas. I think it's in English, I think it's Safed. So Svas is the holy city of Ruach, of air.
yeah.
And that's where you have all the Kabbalists. You have the great Arizal live there, Rabbi Yosef Karo, Rabbi, the Ramak, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, so many. You can, the Al Shika Kodesh, so many holy rabbis live there, and it's the holy city of air. And people are very spiritual there, very airy. They're very filled with Ruach. It's like, yeah. So that's the four holy cities. You can.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like when you're touring over there, you have access to these amazing places, and it's just like to lose that access, to think that might be all be gone. You know what I mean? It's just it's that's what's sad. That's what's worth fighting for. You know, it's not a place of living. Because anybody would fight over their place that they live. It's just natural, right? Your own territory, but there's so much to be gained by going to these places. It's
Yeah.
just it's breathtaking. It fills you up. It connects you. It's so amazing. And when the Jewish people are thriving, the whole world benefits. If you look statistically, like wherever the Jews were in every country that they prospered. That land's economy, that land's health, whatever it was, it gave off its fruit. As
Mm.
the Torah says, I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you.
Yeah.
And look, a lot of the Arab population is downtrodden. They want to curse us. That's what they're getting. America has blessed us for so many years. It has been blessed for so many years. If America wants to turn its back right now on the Jews, that's what's going to happen. Conversely, it's just this is the law of the land. This is the law of attraction, so to speak. And it just people knew what was good for them. They would uplift the Jew and not tear them down.
Right. I mean, America, the USA, I mean, the country's been blessed for a long time because they really have been, the strongest supporter of Israel. I heard it when I was in Rabbi Yisachar Franch here at near Israel. He told this amazing story. He was saying that Harry Truman, he grew up, I think it was in Missouri, maybe St. I don't know my geography of the Midwest so well. I don't know if St. Louis is that in Missouri. I don't know, but he grew up in Missouri, I think, and he helped out a Jewish family on Shabbos, so he's very close to them. And he had a dream that like when he was older, he wanted to do something important. He wanted to be like Koresh in the Torah. He wanted to be like Cyrus, King Cyrus of the Persian Empire. And it was interesting. So in 1948, Harry Truman was president, and when the state of Israel declared their independence, America was the first one to recognize them. And Harry Truman was the first world leader. I think very quickly, I think like within 11 minutes of their announcement, he said the United States recognizes them. And you're talking about one of the strongest nations in the world. And I think America's had a lot of blessing because maybe up until this point or so, they have been very close to Israel. And Israel is considered a great ally, and it is sad. It's very sad to see. I don't want to get too much into politics, but it's sad to see the Biden administration putting so much pressure on Israel as opposed to Hamas and that whole thing. But yeah, it's a dangerous time right
Yeah.
now. It's
There's a book, I forget what it's called right now. I think Eye of the Storm or something like that. It outlines basically every time that America put pressure on Israel to do
mm,
something,
mm.
um, there was some kind of natural disaster that happened on the ground in America. And it's just a very like a chronicle of these events and things that happen. So anybody who's a student of history, anybody who wants to open their eyes and see what God promised his people, I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. You're messing with the God of gods over here, right? You're not, the Arabs want to claim Allah is great and all that stuff, but what does Allah want? What he wants his children back and close to him, right? And the Christians of the world that they claim all you have to do is believe and their God. And what does the God want? What are his original statements? And the original statements is I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you, and that's it. That we are the priests of the world, we're the light unto nations, and we should be fostered. And in fact, at the end of the days, the Gemara says that God will reveal himself and say anybody who helped along this journey of Torah, helped the Jews keep the Torah, come forth and get your reward. And the nations of the world will start lining up,
Mm.
right? And they'll say, hey, we built bridges so they could get to places, and we dealt with money because so they can have good interest rates. We did all these things to help the Jews, and God's going to reveal the truth that all they did is they did for themselves. They didn't do it for the Jews or for the Torah or anything like that. So that is where the world is going. We know that. Just
Yeah, yeah. No, and I think wait, one incredible thing about being in Israel is you don't feel as much like you're in the gullus as you're in the exile anymore. Like we grew up here in America and we're the minority. We're very small in population. And you go to Israel and it's amazing. You feel like you're home. And it's incredible. Like you can go to like a McDonald's and some of the McDonald's are kosher. You can go, you can just
I think all of them are kosher.
most of the supermarkets are kosher. Most of the restaurants are kosher. So you don't have to think about it as much here, like where you have a handful of like kosher places, or you got to go, certain supermarkets, and it's just more
100%.
natural. You're more at home. You're just and everyone's kind of like
Yeah,
a
100%.
family. Everyone's more like a family. We had this incredible experience with this police officer when I first got married over there, and our daughter was very young. Um, this police officer, we kind of like I guess we kind of like jaywalked, and I had an experience in Los Angeles where I jaywalked, and this very very heavy Los Angeles police, LAPD pulled up and gave me a very expensive jaywalking ticket. I don't feel
No.
I don't feel like he cared about me at all. But it was an interesting experience with this Israeli police officer because he starts yelling at us. He's like, "What are you doing? You got a little baby. You got to take care of her. Don't cross like this. Be very careful when you cross the street." And it was like a family member. It wasn't like he didn't give us a ticket. He was just like it was like family. It was like a family comes up to you. He's like, "What are you doing? Be careful. You got a little baby daughter here. Take care of her." It's very amazing experience. I was like, this is like what it's like to be home. This is
Yeah, it was more caring for you than putting
yeah,
you in line, trying to put you in
yeah,
line.
yeah,
Yeah, 100%. You know what I mean? People, are smiling to you. They're giving you that warmth that you get from a family as opposed to like a stranger.
yeah.
You know, 100%. It felt really good there. Yeah, like you said, you stop anywhere and buy anything and eat anything and drink anything. You didn't have to think twice. Is it kosher? Is it not kosher? Like I said, the conduciveness to spirituality over there, plus we know that over there makes a person wiser, and you're just walking the land and just experiencing it, living there, breathing it. It's you can't compare it to anywhere else in the world. If you're seeking out spirituality and you're seeking out like this is what the purpose of life is. So yeah, at the end of the days, we're all gonna be there. The question
Right.
is, will it still be around in our hands, or
Well, I
will we
mean,
have to be?
well, okay. So that's the whole question. Will it be conquered before Mashiach comes? So I mean, no. So before we get into that, I just want to say like, so right when I was at Aish, like I started going to the Shabbos meals. Like the rabbis would invite you to the Shabbos meals, and I hadn't really experienced that. I mean, we used to go to my grandparents for like Friday night Shabbos meal, but I don't know. It wasn't like because we kind of like we drove there, we drove home. It wasn't like the same as just like walking there and just being in Shabbos. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful to see like the rabbis and their families and just the food. Just from the physical standpoint, the food was just delicious. It was just had all these like salads like in the Shabbos table you have all these little salads. You have like the Moroccan carrots and you have the hummus and the tahina and just the baba ganoush, like just all this stuff you can dip the challah in, and just the delicious fish course and the meat course. And so right, it was just an amazing experience, right? Really experience Shabbos, like going down, and Aisha Torah, we're right in the old city, we're right next to the Kosel, the Western Wall, the Wailing Wall. Just like going down there Shabbos night, dancing around, singing like and singing the Zemiros, singing the Shabbos songs is something I never really experienced until I went there.
Oh yeah, yeah. They taking a Shabbat at the hotel is something everybody has to experience. You're Jewish or not Jewish. It's just something unbelievable to see what happens. There's birds that are flying around in a circle over there every single time. It's just absolutely amazing, majestic is how I would describe it.
All right, so
You
I
just got
got
to feel it. You got to go.
yeah.
Huh?
No, we got our
A 10
10
minute
minute.
warning
We got our
or
10 minute. We got our 10 minute warning. See, we're
10
in
minutes?
Dallas. We got time's up. We got to go back. No, so I want to get into a little bit of what you're talking about, right? I think there's going to be a difference between when Mashiach comes, and I think the focus again is going to be like in the days of Yeshua ben Nun, in the days of Joshua, that all the land will be conquered for the Jewish people. Like the people that are attacking the Jews will not be living there anymore. Instead of trying to have these phony peace agreements and these peace deals, it's like what Hashem's promise is that every Jewish family is going to inherit like a vast portion of the land, like acreage and acreage and acreage, like a vast estate. Every Jewish family is going to get this vast estate. And so it's really going to be fighting for something personal. Now it's just fighting to like keep this secular government, in order. And it's not a personal thing that each family is really involved in. It's not fighting for the kedusha, the holiness of Israel, and doing the mitzvahs of like, Meiser, Peah, like, leaving the corner of your fields for the poor people to come and take, and taking a tenth of all, it's not about that. It's not about the mitzvahs, doing the mitzvahs of the land. It's not about giving each family like a portion of land. It's just this secular thing. We have this secular country, and this is what it is. So I think that whole dynamic's going to change. You want to go into that, or the danger of it
Uh,
getting conquered? Yeah.
yeah, the Asia of conquered is, I mean, like what would be lost right now? You know what I mean? It's weird. It's like, you have border guards at all times over there, and you have the army, defending the borders and making sure that nothing happens. And while the citizenry is going about their everyday business, and what are they doing? Some are just living a nihilistic existence for their body and enjoyment, and just eating, sleeping, dying, and procreating and dying. Like what actually are they doing? And there are others who are using it more spiritually, right? To connect to God, to live out their actual mission in this world. And it seems like to me it's like the offensive line in football. Just keep them at bay while we complete this pass, right? Give me some time to look at the field and like complete this pass. And that's basically what we're doing. I think right now is just buying some time so we can appease God, draw down enough energy and light so people can recognize the truth in time before it all blows up in our face. And I think that's what we're in danger of losing, that access to spirituality, to togetherness that we spoke about, like the beauty of the land, the beauty of the togetherness, the beauty of the enjoyment, and really like what do we want it for? We want it to conspire against the world and destroy the world. What are we going to do with Israel, right? What are the Arabs going to do with Israel? Just
Yeah.
another 22nd Arab country in the Middle East? Like, what are they going to do with it?
Yeah.
Other than the same thing that they've done with the other 21 countries, right? No,
Yeah.
we want it for a certain purpose. Forget what the secular people want it for, because they have no idea. They're just doing our bidding. It's the other way around, right? The secular
Yeah.
people are doing our bidding.
No, it's not, right. It's not being used, right. It's not being used for its true purpose. Like the true purpose is that it is this land of Kedusha, of holiness. And that when we have a base of Mikdash, when we have the temple, like the Shekhinah of Hashem, like literally a spiritual presence of this infinite being goes into the Holy of the Holy. The whole world can see that there's a God. He lives in this temple. This infinite being, manifests for us a presence in this temple. And then the Kedusha spreads to the whole world. The blessing that is coming down spreads the whole world. And like the world, we got into the blessings in the Parsha B'chukas, like the world hasn't seen the true potential of the world yet. We go back to that state of Gan Eden and Garden of Eden, where every tree will have a fruit, where trees will like grow. You plant a tree and immediately grow. Like people will be born in one day. It's like so strange, and people say, "Well, that can't be." But it's like, but the famous midrash is look at the chicken. A chicken lays an egg every day. It's possible. Even in the natural world right now, we see the possibility. But like the world, even the physical aspect of the world, nowhere near its potential. And so, like Eretz Yisrael, the land of it, it has to be used for what it's made, what it's created for. What it is made for. It's the land where the Torah comes out of. The whole world learns the Torah. You know, You know, what's it?
Right, and that's essentially what we're in danger of
You,
losing. It's
yeah,
not a place to live. You can go anywhere in the planet and live,
yeah,
essentially, right? It's
yeah,
a you're fighting over like very limited resources. Like why fighting over there, right? The real reason should be because we're fighting to help the world, right? To give abundance and blessing to the world.
yeah.
But the world at its present state doesn't realize it. At least they're not talking about it. That's not the discourse. That's not what's on the table, so to speak.
Right. That's not right. That's not the political debate. I mean, right. So it's like you were saying before, if the world truly knew the advantage and the blessing and what it would be like if the whole world's connected to this infinite being, if we're all connected to Hashem, and we live in a world where evil is destroyed, then we finally get to those amazing, nevuahs, the prophecy of, the world peace. Everyone talks about world peace, but the Torah tells like this is the blueprint. It tells this is how you get there. If you really want the end of war, the end of death, the end
World,
of sin, yeah,
yeah, there can't be world peace if you don't recognize who the chief referee is, right?
yeah,
And the rules of the game are, right. You can't. You have to be objective, know who the referee is and what the rules of the game are. If you
yeah,
if you're squibbling and squabbling about that, then you're never going to get to the right access point. And for the major religions of the world, Christianity and Islam, you guys have to recognize you came from us.
yeah,
Like we are the source. You know what I mean? Like go back to the roots. Go see what the root says. And God, this week's Torah portion, it says that God will never abandon us. He says specifically, "I will never abandon you, even when you're in your exiles." And
yeah,
it seems like you guys I kicked you out, and I don't want you anymore. I will never forget the covenant that I made between me and your forefathers, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and I will gather you in, and I will make you the great nation that you're supposed to be.
yeah.
So I mean, anybody wants to mess with the original what God said, not what prophets they came later said about what He said. Okay, all of Israel heard this. We all heard this at Mount Sinai, right? It wasn't one person. We don't have to believe in one person. We have 3 million people who stood at the foot of Mount Sinai and heard God saying these things. So we know who to trust. You guys can either come and listen to us, and go to the root, and that's what every convert does essentially. They convert, and if you notice, we don't tell the whole world that they have to be us or they're saved. Why do you guys do that? Why do you guys say, oh, if we don't follow XYZ, your person, then we're doomed? Where did God say that? God himself, not the person you tell us to follow saying that in the name of God.
Yeah.
Where
Okay.
did
Okay.
God say we have to follow XYZ?
All right. So we're under two
That's
minutes.
what I, that's what I have to say.
Like we're under 2 minutes. So I just want to say, right. So like, the world, if you got your whole idea of world peace, if you got it from the Torah, you really have to follow the Torah to get there. That's the steps of how we really get there. You can't take the ideas of world
Let's
peace
be
and
clear.
then
The
try
Jewish, the
different
Jewish
methods.
people.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. The Jewish people have to follow the Torah. The
Yeah.
rest of the world has to follow the 7 commandments that were given to Noah, Adam and Noah.
Yeah.
Right? You only have to do 7 things.
Yeah.
You don't have to be so religious. Just have to do 7 things, and everything will be all right.
All right. So
Let us
that,
do what we need to do, and you do 7, and everything will be okay.
all right, so that's basically all the time we have today. If you enjoy it, we can do a part two. We can talk more about the beauty and the holiness of Eretz Yisrael. We hope to see you back soon on Sweet and Good Torah and the Gates of Mordecai. Let's get it going. Let's get it rocking and rolling. All right, we'll see you soon. All the best.